It's a big bike.
It's a big, tall bike, and I ain't. Cleanliness is next to godliness, as they say. Hiya, Rob here from DocWob. This episode of the how-to, we're going to show you rear wheel bearings. You may think they're the same as the front, but they are not. Otherwise, we would show you the pair. So we've done the front wheel bearings in a different video. The rear wheel bearings, well, they are much the same, but they're not exactly the same. So, usual thing, take your wheel out, wash it nicely, don't get all that crap going in. So, first job, pop the seal out. So, your one seal, flip it over, and then you got your other seal. Cost time. Okay. Differences with the rear wheel, you're going to have a circlip retainer in the sprocket side, generally. Not always. And what this does is it stops the wheel moving around on the bearings. So you can't really see it, but there is a circlip in there. She's a big old boy, so you need a good sized pair of circlip pliers. So you're going to get yourself in there. It'll take a few attempts, so don't think I'm an idiot. There she is. So circlip pliers out. Also, difference with a rear wheel to a front wheel is it'll have two bearings on the sprocket side to take the load on the drive. Quite coolly, on HRC bikes back in the 80s, they had a needle roller in this side, and the axle went a different diameter as it went through. Very cool. So you don't want to start off with this side wheel bearing, which is a double, it's a bit harder work. Start off with the single side. Again, with the heat gun. You may want to fast forward through this. It gets a bit boring. And then anybody who didn't see the front wheel bearing video, this is my favourite wheel bearing removal tool. It's a push rod from a cat finning earth mover, I don't know, bulldozer or something. Come from MJ Church. My friend Archie uses them. They're really hard. They've got a nice round edge one end and a really nice sharp edge the other end. So you want to get the round edge in. Doesn't matter what you use, you can use a screwdriver, but you really don't want to mark the inner tube. And what you're going to do is the inner tube now needs to be offset. At the moment it's all in line with the bearings and you can't hit the back of the bearing. So by getting that middle spacer moved to one side, you can get to the back of the bearing. So basically you just want to lever this to get that spacer, which is quite tight. Just enough, can't see, I can't really show you, but all it does is it moves that center spacer enough so you can then get your sharp edge into the back side of your bearing. And she's out. So there's your spacer, there's your disc side bearing. Other side, there is two bearings, so you need to get a bit more heat into this side. You can put it in a press and do it. The problem with doing it in a press is you don't get the feel. And if they're coming out on an angle or on the piss, it's going to cause trauma to your hub. So you better just heat gun down into there, so you're getting the outside of the hub nice and warm. You can do this cold if you want, but it just needs more force, which when you're dealing with a fragile material like aluminium, you don't really want to be beating it around too much. And if you do knacker the wheels, the hub, putting the spacers in, there ain't no saving it. New hub. So there really isn't much to it. You shouldn't be paying somebody to do this. This is a 10-minute job at best. You know, you don't need any specialist tools. You need a socket and a good bar with a nice sharp edge on it. Doesn't matter what, you know, you can buy all this stuff from Halfords. You don't need anything specialist. You just don't need to be paying somebody to do this job, really. So hopefully that's warm enough. We'll soon know. So again, lay it nice on a flat surface, nice solid surface, nice sharp edge in until you get the bearing. And what I'm doing, I'm not hitting just on one side so it comes out. You're hitting across the faces so it comes out That one's hit, that's now hitting the bench, so just support it. There they are. There's your wheel bearings. So now it's cleanup time. As far as new wheel bearings, you can buy them individually online. Just have to remember the way they measure them is interior diameter first, or you can just buy a wheel bearing kit, or you can buy genuine bearings. They're not expensive. I would recommend genuine bearings if I'm honest, because these do a lot of work. I'm not saying all those aftermarket kits, but most of those aftermarket kits are just cheap Chinese bearings, and you'll just be doing the job again a lot sooner than you would like to. So I'll go and get some new bearings and we will show you how to rebuild.
Beautiful people in the world. They're all here.
Not bad, are they?
They're all here at Foxhill, mate.
Engineers over here. Where's my coffee anyway?
I thought you would be coming.
No. So you've got your wheel spacers, your centre spacer, not your wheel spacers, your wheel bearings. You got your bearing retaining clip. Now these are so big and thick, most circlips you need to replace them every time you use them. You don't need to on these. And then just give everything a nice clean up. There's no point in putting dirty, crappy stuff back in, is there? So 9 times out of 10, you don't even need new seals. You can do, and if you buy the kits, they come with the seals, which is great. But they don't wear out too much because the actual seal is doing what a seal is supposed to do. It's sealing in a circular motion. It's fork seals that seal in a linear motion that don't last very long. So you just got to clean them up. I'm not saying don't change them. What I don't want to do is spend your money when you don't need to. So with everything relatively clean, we're back to our friendly heat gun. And this time you're heating on the inside. And we'll start with the double bearing, which is on the sprocket side. Now some wheels have just an extra thick bearing there, which if they do, you're probably going to have to buy an aftermarket kit. Most wheel bearings are a fairly standard size. Some of the early Honda ones have a strange, and you've got to get a kit or an original part there. But can't stress enough, bit of heat, not too much. What you're doing with the heat is you're causing the casting to expand as things do with heat, and basically makes that tolerance between the cold bearing and the hub easier, and it will go in easier, come apart easier. You can horse on the thing all you want, but if you're taking material, and before you know it, your bearing's going to be loose in the hub, and that's not fixable, and you're going to be having to get new hubs or wheels or whatever. Expensive. But this is really one of the most inexpensive maintenance jobs you can do. Keeps the wheels turning literally, and it's all fairly basic. No specialist tools. That should be warm enough. Well, a nice flat surface. Bearing in. Get your wheel bearing tool. That's not big enough. And that's too big. Now, Problem is with this is going to push on the seal, so that will cause a problem. So let me put that back out so the heat doesn't transfer. There we go, nice big socket. Socket goes in all the way, so it's not bigger than the bearing, and it's pushing right on the outside edge of this bearing. You push on the middle, you're going to cause damage. You push on that rubber seal, you're definitely going to cause damage. So I'll get a bit more heat back into it. Now I've showed you the council way of doing it with the socket. You don't need to be, these bearing and seal installing tools are great, but if you're only doing it on occasion, I'll just use a socket. It's got to be a nice fit. Make sure it's not bigger than the bearing, so you're damaging the hub with it going in. So take one bearing, set him in, take your socket. You hear that makes a different sound? That means it's in all the way, so you may as well put the second one in while you're at it. There she is. And while you're doing this side, get your circlip pliers and reinstall your bearing retainer circlip. Just push it to make sure she's clipped all the way in. There, you hear that sound? So, I don't know if you can see, that's your one side wheel bearings fitted nicely. Now you've only got to deal with the second side, again with a heat gun. I'm sure Danny will fast forward this for me. 5 minutes, that's all it needs, less than that. Just get some heat onto the inside of that bearing surface. A hairdryer ain't going to cut it, I'm afraid. Some people use a blowtorch, but it's a flame. I wouldn't be doing that. Heat gun's your best friend, believe me, we use these all day. They don't last us very long. We use them a lot. Again, do not forget to put that in. I've done it plenty. So she sits in nice, take your bearing. You're going to have to hit it just a little just to get it to start. And hit your bearing installation socket. And you're hitting it diagonally all the time, never in the same spot twice. And you're waiting for it to make a different sound. You hear that? She's in. Little bit of grease. Put your seal in. Your seal should touch in. You can almost push them in with your fingers, but little dab of grease just on the seal surface. Flip it over. Dab of grease so your axle goes through nicely. Where's my seal? There it is. Ooh. Okay, so that's your wheel bearings. Your wheel bearings slightly different to the front, mainly because they got two bearings one side and a retaining circlip. So that will keep your wheels turning, brand new, won't fail screwing there in. If your wheel bearings do go bad and you keep using them, you can damage the hub. Gets expensive then. This is an inexpensive thing. You should be able to buy wheel bearings for 4, 5, 6 quid each, really, and just drop them in and go again. So this is a new series of how to do stuff. I'm only going to show you the simple jobs. I'm not going to show you how to split your crankcases or revalve your shock, because most people don't have the tools or the know-how, and I don't want to be responsible for that. But I'll do you the basic stuff. We're going to go through bleeding your brakes, new brake pads, setting your suspension sag, fitting grips, bars, graphics, seat covers, all that stuff we can show you. And hopefully you can do a lot of jobs without having to pay somebody to do it. Keeps the racing cheaper and keeps you up on your maintenance. So if there's anything you'd like us to show you, or we can do it. I mean, I don't really want to be showing you how to lace wheels, but if you want to see it, I will show you. And then like and subscribe, it always helps. And check out our other videos. See ya.